The Rural Fire Service told me last week they hadn't established yet what had started that fire in Orange, which led to the big problems. Have you got any further report on that? Do they know what caused it?
No, look, we don't. When our engineers sort of first arrived, the sort of surrounding evidence, I mean, clearly there had been a very, very big fire and had a lot of damage. The surrounding evidence, and there'd been a storm in the area, they thought, they leapt to the sort of conclusion that it was possibly lightning, or at least the evidence suggested it could have been. We then handed that investigation over to the fire authorities, and they've completed their investigation, and basically the results have come back as inconclusive. They're not able to determine or pinpoint the cause of the fire.
Is it possible to rule out sabotage?
You can't, in the sense that they've not been able to get to the source. Personally, do I think it was sabotage? I think it's a very low probability, but look, you never know. They haven't been able to completely conclude on what the cause was.
Okay. I've also read that there's a problem with people attempting to hack 000. What's that about?
Well, that actually happened to another operator, not Telstra. So what actually happened was that another operator got hacked and effectively had what was called a denial of service attack, which is, in other words, flooded number of telephone calls that came through to the E000 call centre in a very, very short space of time. And as you can imagine, that call centre is manned by operators, and therefore the number of operators weren't able to deal with all of those false calls as quickly. And so that's what created the problem. And so, yes, that occurred. We immediately made that other operator aware, and then they blocked those calls.
Why would it happen? Why would somebody do it?
I don't know. I mean, it's
pretty scary, though.
It is scary. They're conducting their own investigation, and we're not a party to that investigation. No doubt they will be discussing that with the Department of Communications and the regulator, ultimately, to get to the bottom of it. But I don't actually know what the motive behind it was, and indeed whether it was malicious or some other computer-generated thing.
The Minister, Mitch Fifield, told me he was meeting you to get some answers. He was concerned about 000. He's concerned about reliability of the service. Did he ask for guarantees?
Oh, look, I caught up with me. I mean, I catch up with the Minister obviously quite frequently. I mean, we've conducted a number of reviews since the incident that occurred about 3 weeks ago, as you mentioned. I mean, the fire in Orange was one part of it. There were actually three things that actually happened in coincidence with each other, which caused the interruption. We've done some internal reviews in relation to that, and we've provided the Minister and his department with the results of those reviews.
How much compensation have you paid?
Well, we do pay compensation from time to customers. We do it on a case-by-case basis. I couldn't actually tell you in relation to that particular incident what we've paid today. I'm just not across it in any detail.
People have to apply to you for compensation, is that right?
Yeah, we deal with them on a case-by-case basis, that's right.
Look, thank you for coming in. I was reading a bit about you. You left school at 15.
I did, Neil. Not something that I'm the proudest of, but yes, I did.
Why did you leave school?
I dropped out of school, basically. I didn't finish school.
Why?
I'm not sure, really. I obviously didn't quite work out. I sort of grew up in the UK and went to not a particularly good sort of secondary school and couldn't.
But you then later went on to do all sorts of degrees and MBAs.
Well, the funny thing is that I remember my first job. So I left school. My dad sort of gave me a kick up the backside and said, well, you better go and get some work, son. And I got my first job in London. I can remember my starting salary was £2,424. Because the first thing I worked out was I then needed to pay for my season ticket on the train to get to London, which was £500. So I then had to go and get a second job to pay for the train ticket to do my first job. So I worked in a pub cleaning dishes. But I then quickly realised within a couple of years that I'd better go back and get a more formal education. So I went back and did my O-levels and A-levels, a business degree. I qualified as an accountant, then I did an MBA. But I did it all in the evenings and weekends.
Hard work.
It was hard work. I wouldn't recommend it, but yeah, no, it taught me some things.
Is that more pressure than you've got now? There's a fair bit of pressure on you.
There's a lot of pressure, but, I'm excited by the challenge and I feel an enormous weight of responsibility. Telstra is an amazing organisation that has a very, very significant role to play in society with, your callers and customers. I know we don't get it right all the time. Telecommunications is a very complex environment. Technology is moving very fast and I take that responsibility seriously and it's exciting at the same time.
Thank you again for coming in. Hope we can talk soon.
Thanks very much, Neil.
Andy Penn, Chief Executive, Telstra.